Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome to day 27 of Virtual English 2. I'm your host, Paul Davidson, and today we are going to continue our exploration of the idea, what is essay? What is an essay? On Monday, we kind of watched a video in which we kind of thought about it, and we came to this conclusion that essay is a line of thought. At least that's what the man in the TED Talk kind of pointed towards. And I do kind of agree, because writing is thinking, thinking is learning. And so through writing and through writing essays, we can learn a little bit more. Then on Tuesday, we looked at different purposes that essays can fulfill. Wednesday, we looked at introductions, an important element of an essay. And today we're going to be looking at a conclusion, the other end of the important elements of an essay. Conclusions and introductions allow you to kind of be seen on the page. Not only are you introducing your topic, you're also introducing yourself, because when you write, you need to be writing to a general audience, not just me. And so you are introducing yourself to the audience. You're letting them to get to know you a little bit more, not only just you, but your topic, but you can be seen a little bit with your introduction. Same thing can be done with your conclusion. There's this old wise tale, this rumor that I remember hearing about when I was in college about certain professors that would only read the introduction and the conclusion, and then they would help determine whether or not it was even worth reading. Your grade would be completely determined by that. I don't know if that's true. I really don't, but I have heard it's a rumor, and it does point out that it is important. Your introduction and your conclusion are probably the two most important parts of the essay. They really help you shine and not just the content. All right, let's learn about conclusions then. So let me share my screen, and we will do this right here. Conclusions. This is the end, dum dum dum, my only friend, the end. It's a Doors song by a guy named Jim Morrison. 1967 is when it came out. That's how to do actually it's missing a comma. That's how to do an APA style citation with the parenthetical. All right, let's talk about conclusions. So a conclusion should stress the importance of the thesis statement, give the essay a sense of completedness, and leave a final impression on the reader. It's your last chance to get your point across. An essay should not introduce any new information to your topic. Nothing new, no surprises need to pop up. If you feel like you need to put new information about your topic into your paper, put it in the body paragraph. Now, your conclusion should be kind of like your introduction. Yesterday we talked about introductions, and it's the inverse pyramid. You start off with a broad audience trying to grab them. So you start off with something broad, a broad lead or hook to grab the reader's attention. And then you slowly bring it in, and then you bring it into the exact point that you're talking about. Your conclusion is just the opposite. You're releasing them back out to the wild. You had them for that short little bit, and now you're releasing them back out. Think of it kind of like an hourglass, all right? Your essay is that little spot where the sand is falling through. So that spot where your sand is flowing through is that little bit of moment in time, that second, that just piece of sand that where you have the reader's attention and you have a chance to tell them and talk about what's important to you and what ideas you have during that short period of time before they're released back out to the wild. So if you use the pyramid to write your conclusion, do your introduction in reverse. Restate your thesis statement, but reword it. You don't want to use the same jazz that you used beforehand. They've already read that sucker. You need to go with a completely different completely different, like it needs to still have the same material. It still needs to have the same content, but you need to reword what you said. Then you need to summarize the main points that you made. Remember, when you summarize, you tell what's important. Tell it in a way that makes sense, but don't tell too much. And then the coup de grace, the creme de la creme, the most important part, and the one that I really need y'all to work on. And in fact, here's a little spoiler. You don't even need those first two if you have a really good final comment. Final comment, a closing remark about the topic. And that's the one that's kind of difficult. But if you can master that one, if you can get that one good, you'll be a writer for life. You'll be on a gravy train with biscuit wheels. That's how great you will be. So here's some closing remarks you can make. You can answer the question, so what? Just imagine you have somebody reading your essay alongside you, and you get to your conclusion. They're like, so what? What does it even matter? So what? Well, show the readers why this paper was important. Show them that your paper was meaningful and useful to them. You also need to synthesize. Don't just straight up summarize. Don't simply repeat the things that are in your paper. They've already read that. Take those things and show how the points you made, the support examples you were not just random. They fit together into like some crazy cool Voltron robot thing and serve a greater purpose. Make them gel there at the end. You also redirect your readers. Give your readers something to think about, perhaps a way to use your paper in the real world. If your introduction went from general to specific, your conclusion should go from specific to general, globally. So yeah, point your readers in maybe point them in a particular direction with your conclusion. Like maybe we gear them towards that way. Echo your introduction. We actually encountered this yesterday with Caroline Moore. She echoed her introduction in her conclusion. Echoing your introduction can be a good strategy if it's meant to bring the reader full circle. If you begin with a description of a scenario, you can end it with the same scenario as proof that your essay was helpful in creating a new understanding. People love this, by the way, too. Like it's borderline cliche, but because your introductions are always so different, your conclusion, if it echoes the introduction, is still fine. People go, ee, all because that happened. You can challenge the reader. By issuing a challenge to your reader, you're helping them redirect the information to the paper and maybe applying to their own lives. It's a little bit different than redirect. Redirecting is kind of pointing them in a direction. Challenge the reader is saying, no, do X, Y, and Z. Go out and vote, I guess. You can also look to the future. Think of the children, I like to call this one. Looking to the future can emphasize the importance of your paper or redirect the reader's thought process. It may help them apply new information to their lives and see things more globally. You could paint like a really great and amazing future if you just listen to what you say, or a very bleak and dark and disgusting future if we don't do what you say. You pose questions. I talked about questions yesterday. This is where we're kind of talking about it. Posing questions, either to your readers or just in general, may help your readers gain a new perspective on the topic, which they may not have held before reading your conclusion. It may also bring your ideas together, create a new meaning. So yes, asking a question in your conclusion is an excellent way to wrap it all up. All right, and this is, if you're a face-to-face student, this is the time when I would pass out the examples. But since you're virtual, I'll just have to share these examples with you via virtual style. So, and these will be attached to the assignment, by the way, so do not freak out and all that fun stuff. So let me click share and let me click here. Here's the examples. We're going to read the examples after we get done doing this right here. We're going to talk about the don'ts and do's and don'ts. Let's start with the negative. You don't need to do the following. Just simply restate your thesis. Don't just do that. You need to do more. And also don't use the exact same thesis statement that you used before. They've already heard that jazz. Reword it. Go with something a little bit different. You don't need to introduce any new material, no new ideas. Don't focus on a minor point of the essay. Remember, if you summarize something, you need to tell what's important, tell it in a way that makes sense, but don't tell too much. If you tell too much, you're focusing on a minor point. If you're focusing on a minor point, you're not telling what's important. Everybody here. Hi, everybody. Listen to this next point. This next point is vital. Super, super, super important. You do not use the following phrases: in conclusion, in summary, in closing. We can see it's the conclusion. There's not much left in the book. There's not much left on the page. We know we're coming to the end. You don't have to state it. Now, to help you all out, because I know like a couple hours you're like, no, we've always been told to do this. Ah! Those people, if you're one of those people, calm down. Calm down. I'm here to help. You can still write in conclusion or in summary, in closing. What you have written after that works just fine. All you have to do is take the scissors or an axe or something. All you got to do is take this and snip off that first part of in conclusion, and the rest works. So just snip off in conclusion and you should be fine, okay? And then the final thing that you do not need to do is add any additional information that should have been in your body. Here are things you do need to do. Ask a provocative question. Questions work really well. Please make them good questions, though. Provocative, makes you think type of questions. Not like the have you ever seen a doggy questions. Hopefully you're not asking that at the very end of the essay. Leave with an interesting quotation. make a call to action, loop back to the anecdote in the introduction, end with a warning. Warning, if we don't do what I just said, then the communists win. Unless you're communist. If we don't do what I just said, then the capitalists win. See, equal opportunity offender here. You could you can paint a strong image, similar to using imagery. You can express your hopes. You can answer the question, so what? And you could point to a broader implications, like if this happens, then this happens, then this happens, type of thing. All right. Now I had exited out and I didn't even share us our actual examples. So let's actually share the examples here. I'm sorry about that. So actually look at the example. So this is the introduction, echoing the introduction. The introduction that that exists here is one that is painting an image. It's using imagery, and so they're painting an image just walking into Disneyland, and they're going to echo by us walking out of Disneyland. So here's the example. From the parking lot, I could see the towers of the Magic Kingdom standing stately against the blue sky. To the right, the tall peak of the Matterhorn rose even higher. From the left, I could hear the jungle sounds of Adventureland. As I entered the gate, Main Street stretched before me with its quaint shops evoking an old-fashioned small town so charming it could have never existed. I was entranced. Disneyland may have been built for children, but it brings out the child in adults. So that's the introduction. Here's the conclusion. I thought I'd spend a few hours at Disneyland, but here I was, 1 a.m., closing time, leaving the front gates with the now dark towers of the Magic Kingdom behind me. I could see children toddling along, struggling to keep their eyes open as best they could. Others slept in their parents' arms as we waited for the parking lot tram that would take us to our cars. My 40-year-old feet ached. I felt a bit sad to think that in a couple days, I'd be leaving California, my vacation over, to go back to my desk. But then I smiled to think that for at least a day, I felt 10 years old again. There we go. So that was echoing the introduction, calling back to the introduction with the image of walking in and then walking out. There's a variety of different ways that you could do the echoing in the introduction that way. Let's move on to challenging the reader. This right here, they're going to issue a challenge to the reader to take away with them. Though serving on a jury is not only a civic responsibility, but also an interesting experience, many people still view jury duty as a chore that interrupts their jobs and their routine of their daily lives. However, juries are a part of America's attempt to be a free and just society. Thus, jury duty challenges us to be interested and responsible citizens. Don't you want to be an interested and responsible citizen? Student on the other side of this tube, I guess, because the internet's made of tubes, I thought. All right, that's what a senator from Alaska said at one point. It's old and busted. I know, don't worry about it. We could also look to the future. Look to the future. So think of the children. And this is literally, think of the children is how they paint this. And they're painting a bleak future, by the way. Without well-qualified teachers, schools are a little more than buildings and equipment. If the higher paying careers continue to attract the best and brightest students, there will not be only a shortage of teachers, but the teachers available may not be the best have the best qualifications. Our youth will suffer, and when our youth suffers, the future suffers. Think of the children. Student, think of the children. That's true. Spoiler alert, bring back the curtain a little bit. I've been doing this lesson for about 8-ish years. I haven't changed much to it because I think it is like a decent lesson. I like it. It's not like my greatest lesson, but it works fairly well for what I feel like I need to get across to y'all. And yeah, it's like we have a teacher shortage. Like we do. It's not just COVID. We've had a teacher shortage for a little bit. Missouri's not as bad as other states. And not to throw my colleagues under the bus, but like a lot of your teachers don't teach like what they went to college for. So like that's like the truth. And not to say that they're horrible teachers by no means, but heck, until I got that piece of paper right there, that piece of paper was a social studies degree. That piece of paper right there is an English degree. So hey, I was one of them for a while. Now let's finish with posing a question. Here's posing a question conclusion. Campaign advertisements should help us understand the candidate's qualifications and positions on an issue. Instead, most tell us what a boob or a knave the opposing candidate is, or present general images of the candidate as a family person or a God-fearing American. Do such advertisements contribute to creating an informed electorate, or a people who choose political leaders the same way they choose soft drinks and soap? Good question. Good question. All right, so let's move on to your homework, because I know that's what you all only really care about. That's all you really want to know is your homework. Here's your homework, okay? So let me pop this up. All right, so you're going to be doing tasks 4, task 5, and task 6. So task 4, 5, and 6 is the task you will be doing. On Classroom, if you're doing this online virtually, you'll start a document, you'll put task 4A, task 4, and you'll have letter A, provide me the answer, letter B, provide me the answer, task 5, and then A, put the number, B, put the number, C, put the number, and then for task 6, you'll put task 6, put the letter, and then tell me what, or say, and just answer the question. All right, so here's basically the assignment. The conclusion, the importance of a conclusion. The conclusion is the paragraph of the essay. A good concluding paragraph summarizes the main points of the essay, restates the thesis using different words, makes a final comment about the essay's main idea, and may emphasize an action you would like the reader to take. It doesn't introduce new ideas. Don't introduce new ideas in the conclusion. The conclusion only restates or gives further commentary on ideas discussed in the essay. So what you're going to do, task 4, look at the essay on the back. So this is the essay on the back right here. This is the essay. If I was to hand this to you, you'd flip the paper over and voila, there's the essay. This is a good essay. It's about linguistics and how the English language evolves. The English language is a very interesting and complex language that is a very interesting thing to actually learn about, not just like the grammar, like the standard English rules, but how language evolves and whatnot. It's interesting. And this is actually an interesting essay, believe it or not. So here's the essay on the back, and you need to answer these 2 questions. Does the conclusion use any of the 4 techniques mentioned above? And which sentence in the conclusion restates the thesis from the introduction? So here's the introduction. Of course, here's the conclusion. Here's the body. You need to kind of read the essay because 1, it's a good essay. And then 2, you need to know if they summarize any of the main points of the essay. Then task 5, match each of these introduction thesis statements to its rewritten version in the conclusion. So you just put A, whatever, number 11, B, 7, that stuff. And then number 6, I want you to choose the best concluding paragraph below, and then explain why that paragraph was the best. You just tell me which paragraph you thought it was the best and explain why. There's no essay that goes along with it. Just read based on just what the conclusion gives you. You tell me which one is the best. That's all I got for you today, ladies and gentlemen. It's been fun. You should check out the TDWG podcast. That is the podcast me and Mr. Norman do, because he asked me to plug it here on these videos. And yeah, until next time, I've been your host, Paul Davidson, here on Virtual English 2, Day 27. I'll see you for Day 28. That would have been really good if I was able to hit the end thing right then, but I can't. I'm not that talented. I'm still an amateur YouTuber. Bye, y'all.